We want to talk about something a little personal tonight. As some of you guys might have deduced, I am a trans person. Um, and there is a legal defense that does exist in the United States right now in 2026. I'm not talking about like the 1920s, I'm talking about present day, that argues the discovering of someone that is transgender gives you justification for killing them. Just think about that. 2026. So this is called the trans panic defense, and its older cousin, the gay panic defense, has been used in American courtrooms for decades. I want to be measured about this. I want to be fair. I want to give you the history and the context because the subject does deserve more than just pure outrage. It does deserve the understanding, but I also want to be honest with you. There is a version of me that finds it very difficult to be like academic and a legal or academic about a legal argument that says my existence could justify my murder. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. But anyways, let's start from the beginning. Actually, in 1920, so a psychiatrist named Edward Kempf described what he called, quote, homosexual panic disorder. So this is the idea that a person might experience extreme psychological distress triggered by same-sex desire or the fear of it. Kempf was describing a clinical phenomenon. He was not, and this is important, suggesting that it should be an excuse for violence. He was trying to understand something, not justify something. This is not the bad guy, right? He was just doing some research. But our wonderful legal system did take his framework and ran with it in a direction that he never intended, which is like just what we do, you know? You can split an atom. That's sweet. Let's make it a bomb. Through the 1950s, 1960s, and the 70s, when homosexuality was still classified as a mental illness and same-sex activity was still criminalized in much of the country, defense attorneys began arguing that a same-sex advance could trigger temporary insanity or an uncontrollable rage response. Courts sometimes accepted that logic, and murder charges got reduced. Sentences got lighter, and the law was essentially saying if a gay person made you uncomfortable enough that what you did next was you couldn't be held liable. That framing never fully went away. It has just kind of evolved over the years. So let's talk about Dan White. On November 27, 1978, former San Francisco City Supervisor Dan White walked into City Hall and shot and killed Mayor George Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk. Harvey Milk is a very key person that you should all know. He was the first openly gay elected official in American history. He was a military veteran. He also commissioned the first pride flag to be made. The murders devastated San Francisco's LGBTQ community and shocked the country. And the trial made everything worse. The defense was that severe depression had impaired his judgment. As evidence, they pointed to biological changes, including his diet shifting towards junk food. This got classified by the press as the, quote, Twinkie defense. The lawyers weren't claiming Twinkies caused the murders. They were just arguing that dietary changes was a symptom of mental incompetence. So, but the underlying logic that White's psychological state mitigated his responsibility for walking into a government building and executing two people. And it worked. The jury convicted him of voluntarily manslaughter, and he served only 7 years and 8 months in prison. Harvey Milk was dead. Dan White was out in less than 8 years. The gay panic defense is not a formal legal defense. You cannot walk into a courtroom and file a motion called gay panic. What this actually is a strategy, a way of arguing temporary insanity, loss of self-control, or heat of passion in cases where the victim was gay or trans, and the result historically has been exactly what you would expect. Murder charges reduced to manslaughter, lighter sentences, and some victims matter less than others. So we have seen this. There's a lot of examples you guys can go research. So in 2022, Gwen Ario, how do you pronounce that? Gwen Arajo, a 17-year-old trans girl was murdered in Newark, California. Two of her killers received 11-year sentences. The defense had argued that the defendant's reactions to discovering that she was trans was a mitigating factor. So that happened in 2002. 11 years for murdering a 17-year-old child. Now, California has banned the gay and trans panic defense in 2014. They were the first state to do so. Ever since then, some states have followed suit. So Illinois, New York, Washington, Oregon, Colorado. But we are not just talking about a relic. We're talking about a legal strategy that still remains available in the majority of American states right now in 2026. All of this has just been backstory. Dear God, we're here to why I brought this up. So you guys might know an actor, Shia Cuntface. I'm sorry. His professional name is Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
He was arrested during Mardi Gras in New Orleans, charged with 2 counts of simple battery after allegedly striking multiple men and headbutting another one outside of a bar. Witnesses reported that he was repeatedly shouting homophobic slurs during the altercation. And in an interview afterwards, he stated, and I'm not quoting directly, but big gay people are scary to me. He did go on to say, like, I don't have anything against gay people. You can be gay, but be gay over there. But suggesting the situation escalated because men had touched him in a way that made him feel uncomfortable. Now, he has not invoked any legal defense. He has not been charged with anything beyond battery. I want to be precise about that. But the language that he used, the framing of fear, of discomfort, of a physical response to a same-sex interaction, sits exactly the same culture neighborhood as a legal argument we've been talking about. And that is worth examining. Because the gay and trans panic defense doesn't just exist in courtrooms, it exists in a culture logic that says discomfort with gay or trans people is a special category of discomfort, one that comes with permissions attached. And that logic is still very much with us. And I do also want to state that I believe it was last year, our federal government did declassify like a lot of crimes against the trans community as hate crimes, whereas they have been hate crimes in the past. Now, Alex, I've laid out the history and I've laid out where we are legally, but I want to hand this over to you specifically about this recent incident, because I think there's a broader cultural conversation here about how the language, quote, like, they scared me, I was uncomfortable, I panicked, I assaulted someone, I murdered someone, how this functions in 2026, whether or not it ever sees the inside of a courtroom. So what are your thoughts?
So obviously, this is something that people have used in the past, and I think extremely erroneously. Again, the gay panic defense is ridiculous, right? In the idea that it's the gay panic defense. on the LaBeouf incident, I wish I knew a little more, right? My only caveat to his particular incident, right, is if they touched him without consent, right? Because I don't think sexual assault is ever okay, right? And so I'll give you an example. Gender irregardless, if you touch me in a sexual manner without my consent, I might pop you one in the mouth. Okay? Like, I might fight you. His wording does make it sound more like the gay panic defense, right? I was uncomfortable. I don't blah 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 blah. I wish that we were at a point in our society where we were past this. Sadly, and we've covered this a lot on the channel, we seem to be moving backwards a little bit, right? We seem to have gone quite a bit backwards in the last couple of years. A trend which I'm hoping will end soon. But yeah, I mean, the fact that this is still a viable strategy, both legally, and I think you brought up a good point, more from a cultural standpoint, right? Like, you're not going to get excised out of your communities for doing this because, you know, it's okay. And I don't like that. Yeah, I really wish we were past this. Like, it's driving me absolutely up the wall. That again, this is absolutely a 100% important discussion that we need to be having in the year of our dog 2026. It bugs me a lot.
Yeah. I want to actually like find more details out about this. I've been to New Orleans multiple times. I've also been in like club situations where you're just packed in like sardines and people are touching you. So one, it's a little weird that like multiple gay people touched him. Like, was he at a gay bar? Like, where was he? Second, yeah, I've been in New Orleans where you're just in a crowd, you're packed, people are touching you. Even when I was very like masculine and intimidating with a giant fucking beard, I didn't just turn around and punch someone, right? You're just like, hey. Often you can just give a look and people are like, oh, hey, I'm sorry. Or like, hey, that was an accident. Like, it's not, you don't just go around and punching people. And I will say he has a record of doing some crazy off the wall shit. So like, and this is just me speculating, I think he was probably drunk. You're in New Orleans. Yeah, someone touched him and he fucking just went off.
Yep.
He has anger problems.
He does have distinct, documented, I think, mental health stuff. That I think is definitely more apt to describe what he is, going through. But again, that's also kind of my thing. Like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing in Mardi Gras drunk? Like, stop it. It's kind of one of the arguments that's, they used to talk about this with like Ben Roethlisberger. They used to get it with athletes, right? Like, well, this thing happened and I was at a bar. Why are you, look, dude, you're a bajillionaire. You don't, sorry. Like, part of the thing that you don't get to do anymore, you don't get to hang out with the normal people anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because you just don't. Sorry. Don't be in Mardi Gras at some random club getting hammered if you are a rich famous person. Just don't do it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anything else you want to add on this one, or?
Yeah, just stop killing people and saying their gayness freaked us out.
And see, that to me is that's the one that I really want to get to, right? Is especially when it comes to murder, right? Yeah. Murder, like everywhere where I've seen them try and apply a gay or trans panic defense, I'm like, bull, you fucking knew. you just lost your shit, right? So no, yeah, don't murder fucking people.
Don't murder people.
Anyway, let us know what you think down in the comments below.